Hi everyone. First, I'd like to thank you all for joining with us today for this webinar. And there are more exciting updates waiting for you all today in both the web and Blazor, which you can avail from this Volume 1 2020 release. So let's deep dive into the updates now. So the basic agenda of this webinar, I'll be talking about what's new in our Blazor for this Volume 1 2020 release, like what are the new controls we introduced and the new features we included in this release, and as well as the controls that we are moving from preview to production ready state, and some of the unavoidable breaking changes that we introduced in this release for Blazor, and the new Blazor template studio, using which you can create the Blazor apps very quickly with the pre-configured Syncfusion Blazor components. And finally, I will also share the web updates for this Volume 1 2020 release. And at last, I will also create a simple Blazor application to showcase the breaking changes to be followed from this new version. All right, so now let me start with the Blazor updates now. I'm so excited to announce that more than 10 controls, to be exact, it's 12 controls, I think, are moved from preview to final state. So they are now ready to be used in production. And we have made several enhancements to these components to meet the Blazor standards with proper working of Blazor templates, the initial rendering of templates, generic data types to few of the components, and you can find better performance with these components as well. So we have added many of the missing basic features to all these components now, and by adding all these features, now we are marking it to final. So you can kickstart to incorporate them in your projects now. Now moving on to the new controls we released in Blazor, we have added 3 new controls in Blazor for this Volume 1 2020 release. So they are Kanban, card, and progress bar. So now let's look on to the features that are available in Kanban control. As we all know, the Kanban control is used to manage and visualize the tasks of any set of users, and also you can manage the workflow process. So it comes with several features in its initial preview state now, like the data binding, swim lane rows, templates, stacked headers, work in progress validation, and you can even add and edit the card details using the built-in or template dialog. So I will show the examples for all these features now. So with this overview example, you can see the task cards that are being grouped in different status, and you can also see the swim lanes here that are grouped horizontally. I mean, it categorizes the tasks horizontally, and you can also notice the most important customizations that are done on these task cards. So all these customizations are being done with the template support, and you can also notice the toggle option here in the column header. And let's look on to some of the other important features. So as I said, the swim lane feature, you can see you can categorize the tasks horizontally, but you can drag the tasks only within the same swim lane. And in order to enable the cross, I mean, if you want to drag the cards from one swim lane to another swim lane, then you can enable it, and then you can drag them to the another swim lane. And you can also show or hide the swim lane item counts, which you can see here. So for this swim lane row, there are 2 items. So I can hide it in this way. And I can also sort the swim lane rows in either ascending or descending order. So by default, it is ordered in ascending. And I can also show it in the descending order. And the stacked header, with this feature, you can group the similar columns. So here you can see the in progress column and in review columns are grouped under this development phase. So in this way, you can align the headers in a stacked way. And we saw that the editing feature is being added for this Kanban component. So just by double clicking the cards, you can get the details in a dialog. and you can simply change the needed fields and save them. And the data binding support, just like for all other components, how we have provided it, you can provide these task details either as a simple generic list, or you can also bind the remote data source using the data manager. So in this example, the data is being loaded from this service, remote service, and the template feature is being provided for almost all the elements of the Kanban component. Like you can see the column headers here. The icons are being added in each of the columns with a proper template support. And the same template support has also been provided for the swim lane. So you can see the customized swim lane header here. And in the same way, you can customize the task cards as well in this way. And apart from these features, you can also validate, I mean, you can also set some constraints on the columns as well as the swim lanes. So say for example, there are two constraints, that is min and maximum count has been added. So with that, I can restrict the card counts to be displayed on the column as well as on the swim lanes. That is, say for example, you can see here uh, the the two columns are displayed in different colors. So whenever the column fails for the given constraints, so say for example, if it exceeds the given minimum card count, then it will be displayed in different colors to indicate that it doesn't uh, met the provided constraint, like that. So these are some of the features that comes with the preview state of Kanban component. Now the next set of controls are the card control and the new progress bar control. So as we all know, we use the card component to display the content in a well formatted and organized style. So you can easily customize the header, content, and footer of the cards in whatever way you want. Like you can add up any image, links, or whatever. So let's look on to the examples now. So there are so many ways you can use the card component to customize. So here you can see the cards are displayed in the vertical layout to display the business and profile card information. So the content is being, I mean, the header, content, and footer are aligned in the vertical way. And if you look at the code, it is very simple. So we have the SF card component and the card header. So next comes the horizontal card. So here you can see the content being aligned in the horizontal way, horizontal layout. With a reveal card, you can just reveal the information just by clicking the button in this way. And with the tile, you can also display a plenty of cards and design them in this way, in this to bring that tile view. And you can also place any of the Blazor components within the card like this. So here you can see the list component is being displayed within this card component. So if you look at the source, you can see SF card, and inside this card content, you can see the list view component is being placed. And the next feature, you can see the header card. Here the header is being customized in a rich way. We can also dynamically update the content to the cards like this. Also, I can expand or collapse the card content in this way. So you can make use of the card component and design any of the use cases like this. Now, next moving on to the new progress bar control. So we all use the progress bar to indicate any of the, I mean, the progress of any of the particular process. So say, for example, to visualize the completion percentage of a task, or if you want to visualize the download completion percentage, and in that way. So there are two progress bar types currently available in Blazor, and with four different modes. So let's look onto the examples how these modes work. So here you can see the linear progress bar with four different modes like determinate, indeterminate, segment, and buffer. So whenever you know the exact completion percentage value, then you can go with this determinate mode. And there are times you might be not sure how long the process will take. So to indicate this particular scenario to the user, then you can go with this indeterminate mode. And for the scenarios like to depict the download process from the server, download completion percentage like that, then you can go with this buffer mode. So you can also display the secondary progress at the behind like this in a different color. And if you want to indicate the Instagram or WhatsApp like status, then you can go with this segment mode. So apart from these linear types, we can also have the circular progress bar with all these four different modes, which we have seen in the linear type. So you can also change the angles for these circular type to use them in as per your need in your application. And just like the angles, you can also customize the radius, and you can also change the track and progress thickness as well. And you can also customize the label format to be displayed on the progress bar like this. So in any of the custom formats. So these are the new components introduced in this Volume 1 2020 release for Blazor. Now let's see the new features that are included in this to the existing Blazor components of Syncfusion. So to the bullet chat control, we have included the support for legends. You can now show the legends for different target values and to the actual comparative value, as well as for the ranges that are displayed on the bullet chart. And for the chart control, we have added a feature to highlight the selected data points. Whatever data points we select on the chart, we can apply different patterns for that selected data point. So let me show the example for these two features. So in the bullet chart, you can see the legends that are being added for the ranges. The first three indicates the ranges, and it indicates the actual value, and the next three indicates the different target values. And to the chart component, so you can see the number of selection patterns here. I can choose any one of the option from here. I have chosen the diagonal forward. So now I'll click any of the data points. You can see the patterns that are applied to the selected point. So this is a new feature added. And next to the circular gauge and linear gauge, we have added the print and export options. You can print and export the circular gauge as well as the linear gauge to either the PNG, JPEG, or SVG and to the PDF formats. And for the circular gauge, there are two more new features. You can now change the range values dynamically by dragging the appropriate ranges, and you can also customize the needle pointer width in the circular gauge. Let me show you the example for this. So let me choose the PNG format and I'll export this circular gauge. So it is exported to PNG format. And to the pointer customization, you can see the customized needle here with different start and end width. So we all know that we can drag the pointer element. Now you can also drag this range element. So for that, let me check this allow ranges drag. And now I can start dragging the ranges in this way. So you can dynamically do it. Now we'll see the feature updates for data manager and diagram component. So to the data manager component, iQueryable support has been added now, so that you can start performing the data operations and CRUD actions on the server side. And you can also perform the same CRUD and data operations using the expando object and as well as the dynamic object types. And with the diagram component, a couple of new features has been introduced, which is dot pattern for the grid lines. So usually you might have noticed that there will be a grid line. I mean, the line pattern will be displayed at the behind the shapes. Now the dot pattern has been introduced, and with a preview and drop size for shapes, you can set different sizes to the shapes. So usually we'll be drag and drop the shapes from this symbol palette. So I can set different size while I'm trying to drag from the symbol palette. I can set one size, and while dropping them into this area, I can set some other size. So this is what the preview and drop size feature for shapes. Now let's see the new features and enhancements added to the word processor, file manager, and data grid component. So to the document editor component, which is word processor, a new feature web layout has been added. With this feature, you can view the document content continuously in a single page, like how it would appear in the browser page. And next, there are a few enhancements added to the toolbar with additional customization options, like you can dynamically add or remove the items now, and you can show or hide the items. And with the file manager component, now you can start using the IBM Cloud Object Storage. I mean, you can use this file provider now to manage your files in Blazor. So you can easily read the files from the IBM Cloud Storage. You can perform other actions like either upload or download the files and folders. And you can also even create, delete, rename, or search for a specific files or folders, or you can either copy or move the files and folders in the IBM Cloud account of yours using the file manager component now. And to the popular component data grid, a few of the enhancements have been done to the existing features, like the row and column visualization feature is now improved. So you can start to define the template feature along with this with visualization enabled grid. So as previously, you'll not be able to use the templates, or you couldn't be even bind the cell or row related events when you are working with visualization feature. But that particular support has been provided now, enhancement. So you can start using the templates, and you can even bind the cell and row related events while using the row and column visualization feature now. And also the grouping feature has also been enhanced to work better with the visualization feature. So the group data will be rendered in the collapsed mode now, so that you can visualize the large number of grouped records during the virtual loading of data. And also, we have made enhancements to the state persistent feature with data grid. So you can now get and set the grid states from any of the external source in addition to the browser local storage. So now let me show the example for this word processor feature. I mean, the web layout and toolbar customization. So you can see the document being displayed in a single page, and it is being shown how it would appear in the browser page in the same way it is getting displayed. And with the toolbar customization, you can see the default toolbar items that are displaying here. And now if I choose specific items from here and customize them to display only the selected items. So next, there are few updates with the Heatmap component. So the multi-row support has been added in Heatmap to the x-axis, so that the excess text length will not overlap with the text in the next column. So here you can see the text in x-axis are displaying one after the other due to the excess length. And the trim support has been added to both the X and Y axis of the heat map. So here you can see to the X axis and to the Y axis, the labels are trimmed depending upon its length. And the print and export options has also been added. So you can export the heat map now to PDF and also the supported image formats. And now I'll let you know some of the important updates on maps and tree grid components. So to the map component, we have done improvements to the exporting feature. Already the exporting feature is there, but now we have done improvements. So you can export the maps rendered through the providers like OSM, Bing, or Google providers. So now you can export those kind of maps to the supported image and PDF formats. And next feature is pan functionality already exists in the map component. So to this existing functionality, now you can either enable or disable them. And also the complex data source support has been added. So here in the data source, you can see the object within another object. So these kinds of complex data source, you can now pass to any of the map elements like marker, bubbles, labels, and so and so. And to the tree grid component, two important features are added, which is clipboard and batch editing. So with this clipboard support, you can now copy the tree grid records with or without the column headers to the clipboard. And also with the batch editing support, you can add, edit, and delete the bulk records in a single request. So let me show you the example for these two components now. So here I'll choose the OSM provider map type, and then I'll choose PNG format and I'll export it now. So the map is exported. And here by default, now I zoom the map, and if I pan usually, I can move the map to the specific location. But when I uncheck this panning option, and now I try to pan through it, but instead of panning, the zooming action is taking place since I have disabled the panning action. To the tree grid component, with the clipboard example. So here you can see, now let me choose a particular record, say subtask 2. So I'll click this copy with header so that the column header will also be getting copied to the clipboard. And just make a notice here, this subtask 2 is being present within this child task 2, and this child task 2 is again under this parent task 2. Parent task 1. So when I copy this subtask 2, the parents of this particular records will also be getting copied. So I'll just copy with header. And when I paste it, you can see here, you can notice here, the parent records of this particular subtask 2 is also being copied. Now, I'll point out some of the use case enhancements introduced in scheduler component. So now you can choose to hide the white spaces between the appointments in a vertical style. So here, when we create the appointment, there will be an additional space at the bottom that has been left for creation of new appointments. But now the property has been introduced to hide this white space in a row. And also there is a method now to support the scrolling to a specific resource. So whenever there are n number of resources, I can scroll to a particular resource dynamically by making use of the method. And there is another enhancement introduced to set a single appointment to occupy the entire height of a cell. So here, if you look at this appointment, it occupies the entire height of the cell. Next, I'll proceed with the new updates for pivot table component. With the pivot table component, in this release, we have done majority of the UI related enhancements. So I'll just go through all these features with the examples so you can understand them very better. So as I said earlier that we have done most of the UI related enhancements. So you can notice here the color enhancements has been done for every cell to differentiate them. And so as a first thing, we have you can notice the distinct count aggregation type here. So now this distinct count will support the string data type as well. And also you can change the aggregation type to the pivot fields dynamically from this dropdown. And you can also customize this list with your own desired aggregation types. So if you want to display only the count and min and max aggregation types, then you can customize this list. And next thing is you can even customize the button options in this group bar and also in the field list. So you can choose to show or hide these icons, either the filter or the sort icon. So whatever you can customize the button options in the group bar. As I said from the example before, you can switch between the aggregate types dynamically, and you can also set the multiple access through the UI now. So I'll show you now in the example a little bit later. And you can regarding the UI updates, the sort option has been added in the member editor newly, and also to the calculated field, the edit option is being displayed on the button now. And the authentication support has been introduced now. So to access the OLAP cube now, you can set the credentials in a report to connect it to the pivot table. Also, the tooltip template support has also been added, which you can utilize both for the pivot table as well as the pivot chart. And one more thing is the format option has also been added as a separate field in the calculated field dialog. So this is what I was saying. The sort option has been added in the member editor. So this sort action will be applicable only within this editor. And here you can see the multiple access option. So you can choose the multiple access option from the UI here. And in the same way, you can see the edit option being displayed in the calculated field button. And inside the calculated field dialog, now you can see the format field added so that you can dynamically format the fields. So these were the new features added to the Blazor components of Syncfusion. Now let's see the breaking changes that has been introduced in the Volume 2020 release for the Blazor components. So we have done these breaking changes now mainly to avoid the confusions between the EJ2 Essential JS to JavaScript soup and also the Blazor components. So there were so many confusions happening between these two. Just to avoid it, we have done this breaking change, and as well as to minimize the steps in the Blazor application creation. So let's see what are the changes you need to incorporate in the application. So whoever upgrades to this latest version, I mean after 18.1.0.36, the beta release version it was. So you may need to do all these changes in your application. So primarily the changes were like the NuGet package name changes, and there will be a change in the namespace, and the component name has been changed, and also the resource reference changes. The major thing we are doing is previously you might have downloaded the Blazor package with the name syncfusion.ej2.blazor, and now we have changed our Blazor NuGet package name to syncfusion.blazor. So from the version 18.1.36, the package name will be simply syncfusion.blazor. The EJ2 word is being taken from all the Blazor related package names. So in the same way for the word editor.blazor, it has been changed to blazor.word processor. And for also the rest of the NuGet packages, PDF viewer server in Windows, Linux, and OS X, so the EJ2 word has been removed. And for the namespace, in the same thing, whatever we have did in the NuGet, just we have removed this EJ2. In the same way for namespace also, we have removed the EJ2. So previously, if we have used syncfusion.ej2.blazor, then the new thing to be followed is Syncfusion.blazor. This will remain same for all the components. Whenever you want to refer the namespace for any of the components, you can simply use Syncfusion.blazor the component names. And also we have changed the component name. So previously we have used the EJS prefix word, and now it's been changed to SF grid from the version 18.1.36. In case of resources, now you no need to refer the ej2.min and EJS interrupt script files in the host.cshtml file. So from this release, what we have did is we have started loading the required scripts and styles as a static web asset through the NuGet package. So within the host.cshtml file, you can simply add the style reference from the Syncfusion.blazor package like this. So you no need to refer the additional EJ2min as well as EJS interrupt script files from this 18.1.36 version. And in case if you want to load the script from CRG, or if you want to refer and you want to refer your own scripts in your application, then you can disable the default script loading from the static web assets by passing the true value parameter to this add Syncfusion Glaser method inside the startup.cs file. And then you should also refer the syncfusion.blazor mem script file additionally in the host.cshtml file. So this is needed only when you want to load the script from CRG or your own scripts in your application instead of referring from the static web assets. And apart from that, so the query initialization in data manager, you should use sf.data.query instead of ej.data. So this is one such change with data manager. And for this, the CDN links, the link path has been changed. Like the even in the link, we have removed the EJ2. I mean, we have changed the EJ2, so it should be replaced with Blazor. And for styles, you should add the styles. You don't need that ej2.min anymore, and instead of these two ej2min and ejs interrupt, you should syncfusion blazor min.js file is there, and this script file is also needed only when you want to disable the loading of static web assets. So now let me start to create a fresh Blazor server app and point you the changes that you should consider while starting to upgrade to the versions 18.1.36 or later versions. So make sure that you have the .NET Core SDK 3.1.2 or later versions installed in your machine. So I'll create a new project and just simply add a calendar component in that. So I'll give the so I'll choose the Blazor server app. So I'll open the NuGet package to install the Syncfusion Glaser package. So now under the Browse tab, search for Syncfusion.blazor. So instead of Syncfusion.ej2.blazor, here you should choose Syncfusion.blazor, and I'm installing the latest version. So let me check whether the package is added. So yeah, it's added. And now within the startup.cs file, I'll register the Syncfusion Glaser service. For that, here I'll use the namespace syncfusion.blazor. So instead of EJ2, I'm just ignoring it. And inside the configure services, I'll add Syncfusion Glaser method. And here it's an additional thing just to register your license. So this is Syncfusion license provider dot register license, and whatever license key you have, either your license key or the trial key, you can provide here. So I'm just skipping this step here. So let's continue with the other things. So next, moving on to the host.cshtml, I'll just copy this style reference. So inside the host.cshtml page, I'm referring the bootstrap CSS file from the Syncfusion.blazor package. And now inside the imports.razor file, I'll use the namespace syncfusion.blazor.component namespace, which is calendars. So here you can see there is no more EJ2. So I'll save it. So now I'll open the index component, and here I'll add the SF calendar tag. Previously it was EJS calendar. So now now we should follow the SF calendar, and the T value is being given for specifying the type of the component, and I've saved it. So that's it. So if you notice in this host.cshtml file, previously we would have defined the EJS interop as well as the EJ2 min script files, and now you no need to refer them here. Just the style reference alone is enough. And here you can see the calendar component. So you can just ignore this licensing information. So the calendar component gets displayed. I hope you are clear now with the steps of the breaking changes to be incorporate into your project. And next important update is in Blazor. For this Volume 1 2020 release, we have introduced the new Visual Studio extension for Blazor in the name of Blazor Template Studio. So this is an extension, Visual Studio extension. So once you install this extension, you will get a pre-built templates in your project wizard. So you can select the Syncfusion Blazor components from that project wizard, so that all the necessary configurations, whichever we have discussed now, like the like adding namespace or registering the service or CSS reference, everything will be taken care automatically. It just makes the project creation a little bit quicker than before. And you can also start the required Syncfusion Blazor components. I mean, you can choose from the UI. So you can get the Blazor Template Studio from the Visual Studio Marketplace here. I have already downloaded this. So I'll tell you how it will make difference in the Blazor application creation. So you just need to select the controls and configurations from the UI, and everything will be taken care automatically. So I'll create a new project, and in the drop down, you can select Syncfusion. So once you install that extension, you will get this in this drop down. And inside here, I can select this Syncfusion Blazor Template Studio, and I'm giving the same project name. And you can select the project type. So you can create any of the either Blazor server app, WebAssembly app, or the hosted app. So I'll go with the server app first. And here you can see the list of components that are available. I mean, all the Blazor components are listed here. So whatever components you want, you can add them just by clicking once on the card and click on the next. And from here, I can choose the features that are to be enabled on the controls. So let me uncheck this reordering and searching checkboxes now, and I'll choose the menu filtering. And for editing, I'll choose dialog editing. So here, and from this tab, you can choose the features listed out for the component. And in the next step, I can choose the theme and the version. So I'll go with the fabric theme. I have clicked the create button. So I'm sorry, I think it's of the old version. Just a minute, let me fix it. So I think the latest version was not installed. No, the template version is currently being selected from 18.1.36. It's an internal version actually I have in my system. So there is some problem. So let me check it out. So let's check on this at the end. So we'll continue with the next thing. I'll try with the latest version at the end of the presentation. So these are the new updates for essential, I mean, the Blazor components. So that's all about the Blazor components. Now let's start with the updates for Essential JS2, the complete JavaScript suite. So two controls, bullet charts and spreadsheets are being moved to production ready state now in all the JavaScript platforms. So you can get the benefit of more features from these two components and start to use them in your projects in production. And next, three new controls are introduced for JavaScript suite as well. So while discussing about the Blazor status, Blazor controls, we have seen about the Kanban and the progress bar. Those two components are available in JavaScript as well, and as well as the new component Dropdown Tree has been added. So whatever new updates we have for this Essential JS2 is also applicable for ASP.NET MVC and ASP.NET Core as well. So let's look on to the features available in Dropdown Tree in its preview state. Dropdown Tree is it's nothing but a component with a combination of drop-down and tree view. So it can display a hierarchical data in a tree-like structure. So within the drop-down, you can see here from which you can select one or more values. So in its preview state, it supports the features like data binding and checkboxes and multiple selection, sorting, template, and it's been designed completely based on the accessibility constraints. So let's look on to the examples now for these features. So here in this example, you can see the multi-level hierarchical data from which I can select single or multiple values. So here the single value has been chosen. And also you can bind the generic data or the remote data source from the using the data manager component, just like other components. So here you can see the data manager is being used and the data is being retrieved from the service or data service. And so if you look at the data to be passed to this particular component, there are three major fields which you can see the ID, name, and also the child, the subchild. So all these three fields needs to be bind to the component properties like value, text, and child. So those hierarchical data will be bind to the component by making use of these field mapping. So let me show you the feature for multiple selection. So this is for the simple single value selection. And this is for the sorting feature. You can sort the items either in ascending or descending value. So here you can see it is being ordered in descending. And if I choose ascending, you can see the difference here. And there are modes when I choose to select multiple values. So here you can see a checkbox accompanied with items. I can choose multiple items in this way, even from the child items. Here you can see the multiple values are being displayed in the chip mode. So I can also separate them with a delimiter like commas. So that is for the delimiter mode. And I can also apply templates to the header, footer, and also to the no records template. So here you can see the header, content, and as well as the footer is being customized with the template support. So that's all about the drop-down tree component. Now next I'll update about the data grid component features, Gantt features, the spreadsheet component features, and the diagram component features. So to the data grid component, infinite scrolling feature has been newly added uh, for all the essential JS2 platforms to support the lazy loading of data. And also the editing support has been given now for the during the virtual scrolling of data. So previously the virtualization support is present in the data grid, but you cannot edit the records when this feature is enabled. Now the editing support is exclusively given so that you can either use the inline or dialog editing in a virtualization enabled grid. So I'll show the example for these two features. So before that, let's discuss the other features as well. So to the Gantt component, the PDF exporting option has been added, and also two scheduling modes, task scheduling modes are introduced, namely auto and manual. So uh, the start with this feature, the start and end dates of the task will be validated either automatically or manually. So based on the mode that we pass to the task data. And the resource units and the work unit has been introduced newly now to indicate the amount of work that has been done by a resource is referred by this resource unit. And the work indicates the total hours required to, total hours required to complete a particular task. So that you can pass using the work. And this work unit is usually provided with the hour values, but you can also choose to give the values in days and minutes as well for this work. And the new resource view is being introduced now to visualize the list of tasks assigned to each resources individually in a hierarchical way. So let me show the example first. There are so much of topics we have seen now. So let's see the data grid and Gantt feature now. So now I'll just scroll through the data. When the scroller reaches the end of the grid, you can see the data is being loaded. So this is how the infinite scrolling works. And with the Gantt component, we can see the resource view here. So each individual resource is being displayed in a hierarchical way, and this denotes the parent row. This parent row denotes a particular resource, and the tasks of this particular resource are grouped hierarchically. And we can also add the resources dynamically through the UI, as well as you can see the unassigned tasks at the last. So whatever tasks that are not assigned to any of the particular resources will be displayed in this category, unassigned tasks. So you can see the PDF export option has been given for the Gantt component. Previously, Excel and CSV export is present, and now the PDF export is support is given. And And in this example, you can see the work data is being added to each of the tasks. So it is provided in the hours format. So you can also provide the values in days or minutes as well. So based on this particular value, the end date and duration of the task will be calculated automatically. And as I said before, the task scheduling mode. So either manual or auto is assigned to each of the tasks. So depending on this mode, the start and end date of the tasks will be validated appropriately. Now let's move on to the next set of features with the spreadsheet component. So There are many enhancement features added to the spreadsheet component in this Volume 1 2020 release to mark it as final. So the feature list includes like the insert delete row option, and you can show or hide the rows, and either you can add the border to a cell or the range of cells, and you can wrap the text, you can merge the cells, and there is a protect sheet feature and the validation feature, find and replace feature, as well as the cell template. So you can see the examples for all these features. So just right click on the row header and you can see the insert row option. Either you can insert or delete the rows in this way by choosing the insert row or delete row option. So I'll just insert a row, and I can also hide a hide that particular row by using this option. I can also unhide that same row by in this way. And as I said about the wrap text, so the option has been added for wrapping the text, and for merging, I can choose to merge vertically or either horizontally, and I have chosen to merge vertically here. There is a cell template feature. So inside the template, there are more input components added. So in this way, you can make use of the template to customize a single cell or the range of cells inside the Excel sheet and add such kind of input components to it. And there is also the find and replace option added. So I'm just I'm just finding the word violet and replacing it with purple. So it has found out the first occurrence. So I replaced it. So the find and replace option and the protect sheet feature. So with the protect sheet feature, you can restrict certain actions like selection of cells or inserting images, links, such kind of actions you can restrict. So here I'm trying to select the cells, but I'm not able to do so since it's a protected sheet and the selection action has been prevented in this particular sheet. So to make you clear, I'll create a sheet and choose the protect sheet. So here you can see the options, which particular action you want to restrict. So from here you can select and choose the required action. So that's all the update with spreadsheet. And with the diagram component, the native template support has been added for the creation of HTML shapes. Apart from the other feature list, to the word processor server library support is added in Java to allow the users to convert the Word documents to SFDT format. And for the PDF viewer, the Redis cache support has been provided for the PDF viewer .NET Core Web Service. And that's all the update for this word processor and PDF viewer. So let me check with this. And one more update I missed with the Blazor is now you can implement the localization feature in Blazor by making use of the resource files. So I'm planning to make a separate video for that, and the documentation for now it can be referred from the documentation link. Regarding this Blazor Template Studio, so I'll share the short video on how it will work in a short manner. Actually, there is some version conflict problem in my machine with my internal, the internal build is making some problem with it. So I'll soon make an update for this Blazor Template Studio alone. So that's all the update from my side for this Volume 1 2020 Syncfusion release on Blazor as well as the web. Thank you so much all for listening to this webinar and for joining in this webinar today.